Hi, everybody. My name is Yaman, and I provide daily updates on Tesla, markets, and technology. Let's get started. We have a lot to discuss today. Markets are mixed. Dow Jones down 0.3%, NASDAQ up slightly, S&P 500 is flat, Russell 2000 is up 0.8%. Oil prices are up 1% to $69 per barrel. Yield curve is up again a couple basis points today. When we look at the heat map, you can see that Max 7 are mixed. Tesla is up 3%. JP Morgan and other banks are down 3-4%. I'm not sure what's going on. I think there was a downgrade of the industry by one of the analysts, but I didn't find any details on that. Energy, oil stocks are up based on higher oil prices, and healthcare is up today. Couple of fundamental news on Tesla. If you have any thoughts on this, feel free to leave a comment. Tesla was forced to reimburse full self-driving in arbitration after failing to deliver. This is a Fred Lambert article by Electrek. This is a really good article. I recommend people read it. Let's go through it. Tesla has been forced to reimburse customers' full self-driving package after an arbitrator determined that the automaker failed to deliver it. Tesla has been promising its car owners that every vehicle it has built since 2016 has all the hardware capable of unsupervised self-driving. The automaker has been selling FSD package that is supposed to deliver this unsupervised self-driving capability through over-the-air software updates. Almost a decade later, Tesla has yet to deliver on its promise, and its claim that the car's hardware is capable of self-driving has been proven wrong. Tesla had to update all cars with hardware 2 and 2.5 consumers to hardware 3 computers. In January 2025, CEO Elon Musk finally admitted that hardware 3 also won't be able to support self-driving and said that Tesla will have to upgrade the computers. 6 months later, Tesla has yet to communicate a plan for retrofits to owners. Tesla is now attempting to deliver its promise of unsupervised self-driving on hardware 4 cars, which have been in production since 2023 and 2024, depending on the model. However, there are still significant doubts about this being possible. I don't think it will be, as the best available data indicate that Tesla only achieves about 500 miles between critical disengagements with the latest software on the hardware. The situation is creating a significant liability for Tesla, which already needs to replace computers in millions of vehicles, and it may need to do so in millions more. On the other hand, many customers are losing faith in Tesla's ability to deliver its promise and manage this computer retrofit situation. Some of them have been seeking to be reimbursed for their purchase of the FSD package, which Tesla sold from $8,000 to $15,000. Now, we know all that background information. We know all that. Everybody who's been following Tesla Live knows all those facts. These are facts that are undeniable. Now, the following is the news, and I think it's very material for Tesla investors. A Tesla owner in Washington managed to get the automaker to reimburse the FSD package, but it wasn't easy. The 2021 Model Y was Mark Dobbin and his wife's third Tesla. Due to his wife's declining mobility, Dobbin was intrigued about the FSD package as a potential way to give her more independence. He wrote in a blog post, "But FSD was more than hype for us. The promise of a car that could drive my wife around gave us hope that she'd maintain independence as her motor skills declined. We paid an extra $10,000 for FSD." Tesla's FSD quickly disillusioned Dobbin. First, he couldn't even enable it due to Tesla restricting the beta access through a safety score system, something he pointed out was never mentioned in the contract. Furthermore, the feature required the supervision of a driver at all times, which was not what Tesla sold to customers. Tesla doesn't make it easy for customers in the US to seek a refund or to sue Tesla, as it forces buyers to go through arbitration through its sales contract. That didn't deter Dobbin, who happens to be a lawyer with years of experience in arbitration. It took almost a year, but Tesla and Dobbin eventually found themselves in arbitration, and it didn't go well for the automaker. Almost a year after filing, the evidentiary hearing was held via Zoom. Tesla produced one witness, a field technical specialist who admitted that he hadn't checked what equipment shipped with our car hadn't reviewed our driving logs, and didn't know the details about the FSD system installed on our car, if any. He hadn't spoken to any sales rep we dealt with or reviewed the contract's integration clause. There were both a Tesla lawyer and an outside counsel representing Tesla at the hearing, but the witness was not equipped to answer questions. Dobin wrote, he was a service technician, not a lawyer or salesperson, but that's who Tesla brought to the hearing. At the end, I genuinely felt bad for him because Tesla set him up to be a human punching bag. Someone unprepared to answer key questions, forced to defend a system he clearly didn't understand. While I was examining him, a Tesla in-house lawyer sat silently, while the company's outside counsel tried to soften the blows of witnesses' testimony. He focused on Tesla's lack of disclosure regarding the safety score and the fact that the system does not meet the promises made to customers. The arbitrator sided with Dobin and wrote, the evidence is persuasive that the feature was not functional, operational, or otherwise available. Tesla was forced to reimburse the FSD package $10,000 plus taxes and pay for the almost $8,000 in arbitration fees. Since Tesla forces arbitration through its contracts, it's required to cover the cost. Electrek notes, this is interesting. Tesla assigned 2 lawyers to the case in an attempt to avoid reimbursing $10,000, knowing it would have to recover the expensive arbitration fees, most likely losing tens of thousands of dollars in the process. It makes no sense to me. Tesla should have a standing offer to reimburse FSD for anyone who requests it until it can actually deliver on the promise of unsupervised. See, Tesla can't do that. In my opinion, Tesla cannot do this because it would cost them billions and billions of dollars. People would rush to the doors to get a reimbursement for FSD. It would cost Tesla billions of dollars, which they're not in a position today to pay back. Tesla already has a fickle financial situation. So I don't think they're going to do that. That's why they're spending tens of thousands of dollars to save even one case, but in this case, they failed. And I'm curious to see what's going to happen from now on. I wonder if others will come forward as well. In another bad news for Tesla, Tesla reportedly halts Optimus production. Technical bottlenecks signal a turning point for the humanoid robot industry, says TrendForce. Recent reports from China's supply chain indicate that Tesla may be halting production of its humanoid robot Optimus. TrendForce reports that Tesla currently faces 2 major challenges: limited battery life and difficulties with hardware-software integration. While improvements in motion planning and energy optimization through AI could help address battery performance, fundamental bottlenecks remain, particularly in the efficiency of core hardware components such as joint motors and transmission systems. Additionally, reports of payload issues with Optimus' dexterous hands point to complex integration of precision mechanics, miniature actuators, and AI-driven control systems that also require sophisticated human behavior simulation that demand longer development cycles. I had predicted about 6-7 months ago that I think Tesla will put the Optimus program to the back burner. And then 5 months after that, the head of the Optimus program quit Tesla, Milan, and now this news. So I think it's panning out the way I expected. Any questions, comment, you can leave it under the video. Tesla's Elon Musk, soap opera must end, Wedbush says. Tesla's board needs to act now to curb CEO Elon Musk's political activity, Wedbush analyst wrote to Tuesday. Tesla shares slumped Monday as Musk posted on social media about his plans to start a political party. The analyst suggested Musk should have stock incentives tied to his time spent at Tesla and board oversight of his political actions. See, these are very reasonable requests by the investor community for any CEO who's acting like Elon Musk. But Elon told Dan Ives to shut up today. One of Wall Street, of course he will, because that's not in his best interest anymore. One of Wall Street's longtime Tesla bulls is urging the company's board to curb CEO Elon Musk's political activity. The soap opera must end, Wedbush analyst led by Dan Ives wrote Tuesday, a day after Musk's statements about starting a new political party sent shares tumbling nearly 7%. The analyst said Tesla cannot afford to have Musk's time split during its current push into automation and robotics. Nor can it afford making political enemies in the Trump administration while regulations about Optimus vehicle expansion are yet to be finalized. Musk left the Trump administration earlier this year as analysts had called for the CEO to spend more time at his companies. In a nutshell, we believe this is a tipping point in the Tesla story, and ultimately, the Tesla board needs to act now and set the ground rules for Musk going forward around his political ambitions and actions, the analyst wrote. The problem is Tesla's board is a board of friends and family, so I don't expect much. I don't expect them to have a backbone. Moving on to competition, Xiaomi made a cheap Ferrari EV. Who needs Porsche? Xiaomi's U7, a luxury electric SUV with impressive technology and a 519-mile range, is priced at $35,400. This poses a threat to Western automakers. We've been talking about the vehicle for weeks and weeks now, if not months. And I think now that Xiaomi is ramping the production of U7 along with SU7, I think Tesla sales in China have peaked, and I think it's going to go down. Ford bolsters America commitment with 000 offer. Ford is launching a new summer sales event with 0 down payment, 0% interest for 48 months, and 0 payments for the first 90 days of most Ford and Lincoln vehicles. This offer, evolving from the successful employee pricing for all campaign, aims to provide customers with more affordable options during peak driving season. The event also includes a 2-year Ford Protect premium maintenance plan. Solar stocks fall after Trump orders limit to green tax credits. Shares of U.S. solar companies fell after President Trump called for new rules that would limit access to tax incentives for renewable energy projects that had already been pared back by a $3.4 trillion budget bill. Sunrun, the biggest U.S. residential solar company, slid as much as 13%. Solar equipment provider Nextracker dropped by as much as 6%. First Solar, a domestic solar manufacturer, fell 5%. On Monday evening, Trump issued an executive order directing the U.S. Treasury Department to more strictly define when a project has started construction, including restricting the use of its efforts to lock in tax credits unless a substantial portion has been built. The order could serve as incremental negative for the entire solar sector. Phil Shen, an analyst, wrote in a report late Monday. The risk is to the downside. Under the tax and spending bill signed into law July 4, solar and wind developments are eligible for tax credits if they begin construction within 12 months. That provision had irked fiscal conservatives in the U.S. House Freedom Caucus, who wanted to see an end to the incentives. The executive order comes after reports the Trump administration had struck a deal with the Freedom Caucus to more closely scrutinize the incentives in exchange for support for the budget package. The order also calls for the implementation of restrictions on incentives for clean energy projects that have ties to foreign entities of concern, including China. In addition, Trump ordered the Department of Interior to get rid of regulations that offer favorable treatment to wind and solar facilities. The new provisions are due in 45 days. I think we covered Trump tariffs. Live update: China sends new trade warning after Trump letters to Japan, South Korea, and others. China warned President Trump on Tuesday against restarting trade tensions that it would hit back at countries that make deals with the U.S. to exclude China from supply chains. Last month, the U.S. and China agreed on a trade framework to ease tensions, but many details remain vague. Investors are now waiting to see if this agreement can withstand a new round of trade brinkmanship. And on a final note, we're about to get inflation data, I think this week. You can see here that inflation year-over-year percentage change for June is expected to be 2.6 for CPI, almost 3% for core CPI, 2.5% for PCE, and 2.7% for core PCE. And next month, they are, especially on the core level, they're expected to go up by 0.1%. All right. On that note, thank you very much, everybody, and I will chat with you all next time.